Pew Research Center found that 44% of Americans use Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram as sources of information for the 2016 presidential campaign. And among people surveyed ages 18 to 29, 35% use social media as their primary source of political news. So you can understand why we are concerned that what is put on your platforms are in fact factual. I want to point out that all of you are men on this at this hearing, and there was a recent study that looked at the 2020 Democratic Party presidential primaries. The study's entitled #She Persisted: Women, Politics, and Power in the New Media World. And the analysis of the 2020 primary showed that female candidates are attacked more often than male candidates by fake news accounts, and interviews with female politicians around the world suggest the same phenomenon. For early in the Democratic presidential primary, social media narratives of female candidates were mostly negative and mostly about their character. For example, the top narrative about Kamala Harris was that she was not authentically progressive, American, or Black. The top narrative about Warren was that she lied about her ethnic heritage. Attacks of women tend to fall in three buckets: untrustworthy, emotional, or dumb. Within these themes are a high volume of sexualized content, memes, graphics, or accusations of women sleeping their way to the top. So this is pretty toxic. And I can tell you personally that I endure a whole lot of that on the platforms. Pretty disgusting stuff. So all three of you are men. I want to know how you are going to address this issue in the 2020 election. Mr. Elisha, why don't we start with you?
Thank you, Congresswoman. I would say I have seen as well the increased targeting of women, particularly online, and the way in which they can get brigaded, the way in which prominent women experience this. We have teams focused on coordinated harassment and how we can tackle them. One of the things that my team focuses on in particular is cases where we see individuals singled out using either networks of fake accounts or networks of deceptive behavior.
How many women do you have in your team?
Congresswoman, right now, I think about 50% of my team is either ethnically diverse or women.
Well, how many are women?
It's about 30% of my team.
All right, go ahead.
One of the things that I've found, and it applies to women, it applies to the minority communities as well, the actors who target using these inauthentic techniques target minority communities. They target people they believe they can victimize. And so it's extremely important that our teams be diverse so that we can have the sort of creative responses we need and so that we can put ourselves in the shoes of the people who are being targeted. And
so what do you do when female candidates are targeted this way? I mean, how do you address it?
Congresswoman, it depends a little bit on the exact threat. We are building tools that allow first people to mute or not have to see some of these threads.
But that is coming from the individual, not from you. So if you don't want to see something, you can click it off. But how about the fact that it just gets communicated throughout the platform and it gains traction? And if it's negative, it gains more traction based on the algorithm.
Congresswoman, if we see direct threats of violence against someone, we will take that down. And we've done that, a number of these targeting women. If we see content that violates our community standards, we proactively hunt for this and take action against it when it emerges. I do think also thinking about how to change the product to empower people and to disincentivize this type of stuff is an important piece as well. If we're only removing things we see, we'll always be in sort of a whack-a-mole world. We need to keep doing that, and we have a responsibility to keep doing that. We also need to change the environment to make this type of thing harder and give people more tools to protect themselves.
Okay, well, I'm going to share this report with Sheryl Sandberg in hopes that you're going to do more than what you've done.